Hey guys, welcome to my Performapal deck profile for the May 2016 format. A few notes before we get started. This deck is meant mainly for casual play, so expect a high Performapal count. Also, since this deck is mainly a level 4 Pendulum deck, I am utilizing the Draco engine. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. So first I run 3 copies of Pendulum Sorcerer. This deck pretty much doesn't function without this card. He lets you pop up to 2 cards you control to add that many Performapal monsters from your deck to your hand when he is Pendulum summoned. Next, I run 3 cards from the new Shining Victory set, Performapal Fireflux. He's a scale 5, and his monster effect is pretty much a mass Armades. When an Odd Eyes or Performapal monster you control declares an attack, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects until the end of the damage step. So that effect alone makes it pretty useful. So another new card from Shining Victories, I play 2 cards or 2 copies of Unicorn. What's nice about this card is he is both a Performapal and Odd Eyes monsters. So you could search it with your Performapal searchers as well as Sky Iris. The best thing about this card, however, is the fact that he's scale 8. And that lets you Pendulum summon Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon, which we do run in the deck. Also, his Pendulum effect is somewhat neat, although a little bit situational. When an Odd Eyes monster you attack, you can target one Performapal monster you control. The attacking Odd Eyes monster gains that attack. So for instance, let's say you're attacking with Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon, and you target, let's say, a Joker on your field. Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon will go up to 4,300 attack. And let's not forget that he does double damage on monsters. So if your opponent's not careful, you could OTK them in one swing. Another new card from Shining Victories, I run 2 copies of Sellshell Crab. He's a low scale, which is the main reason we run him. His monster effect lets us pump up one of our monsters' attack based on the number of Performapal monsters we control. We run 2 copies of Silverclaw. His main purpose is to be a high scale, and his attack boosting abilities makes him somewhat useful as well. I run 2 copies of LIzardraw and 1 Guitartle because we love Pot of Greed. And Performapal LIzardraw is our only target for King of the Pharaoh Imps, which we do run in the extra deck. Now for our one of Performapal monsters, we run 1 Joker. Joker is pretty much the best normal summon in the game. He searches everything in the deck. Well, almost everything. He searches all of the Performapal and Odd Eyes monsters. So the only thing he does not search is the Draco monsters. Next, we run 1 Monkeyboard. This card is absolutely ridiculous. He is a 1-card scale. So you put him in your Pendulum scale, search for another scale, or you can search for Joker, and Joker searches for your high scale. And, you know, for good reason, he's at 1. Next, we run 1 Performapal Odd Eyes Light Phoenix. The only reason we run him is because he's a low scale, and he's searchable by Sky Iris. Another low scale, we run 1 Camelump. He's okay. His ability lets one of our monsters do piercing damage. The only non-Pendulum monster we run in the deck is Performapal Secondonkey. Pretty much there's not much to say about him. When your Pendulum scales are filled, he can add any Performapal monster from your deck to your hand. So we use him to search our searcher, and our searcher searches for other searchers. For the last of the Odd Eyes monsters, we run 2 Pendulum Dragons. He's okay. You know, his 2,500 attack makes him somewhat a good beater. The fact that he does double damage is quite nice as well. However, you know, let's address the elephant in the room. His scale is scale 4, and that is absolutely horrific. If it was anything else, if he was scale 3, he would be amazing. Scale 5, amazing. But since he's scale 4, in a deck that runs mainly level 4 monsters, just absolutely terrible. However, he does have effect during the end phase. You could pop him in your Pendulum zone to search a Pendulum monster with 1,500 attack. So even though it's kind of slow, you know, it still has its uses. Now for the Draco engine, we run 3 Master, 1 Luster, and 1 Vector. If I had a Lecter, I would run him, but this is pretty much standard. And also these cards allow or drive most of our extra deck plays. Now for our spells, we run 2 copies of Sky Iris. Sky Iris is really good in this deck. You could pop your scales to search for other scales. So usually I would set something in my scale, pop it, and search for maybe Odd Eyes Performapal Unicorn as a high scale, and I could pendulum the card that just popped back onto the field. For our Performapal spells, we run 2 Bubble Barriers. Bubble Barriers, you know, somewhat nice. If you just want to push with your Performapal monsters, it protects your monster once per turn from destruction effects. Also, you take no battle damage involving Performapal monsters. Next, we run 2 Performance Hurricane. Pretty much this card is a mass compulse. So you could target the amount of cards on your opponent's field up to the number of Performapal monsters you control, send them back to the hand. So when this card actually resolves, it's actually quite nice. We run 2 Twin Twisters because, you know, pesky back row. 1 Draco Faceoff, one of the best spells in the game. Raigeki, because sometimes we just need a clear board to attack through. And that is pretty much for our spells. For our traps, we run 1 Solemn Warning, 1 Performapal Call, and 1 Performapal Pinch Helper. And now to our extra deck, we run 3 copies of Dinoster Power. So he's our new main go-to guy, as he serves 3 purposes. The first purpose is to drive all of our rank 8 plays. Secondly, he protects all of our Performapal, or rather all of our Pendulum monsters and Pendulum scales from destruction. And his last effect lets us special summon a Draco Slayer from the extra deck, or rather from your hand or from the graveyard. We run 1 Ignister. He's pretty much one of the best synchros in the game. We run him because we have to. His effect is absolutely amazing. Non-targeting, non-destruction removal. Now for the last of the Draco Slayer extra deck monsters, we run 1 Majester. This card is, you know, really good. It lets you search for any Pendulum monster in the deck, but usually we use it to search for Luster Pendulum. Also, his detach effect lets you summon a Draco Slayer monster from face up on the extra deck. And we run 1 Daigusto Emeral. Since we only have 1 Ignister, I use him primarily to recycle Ignister, recycle other extra deck monsters, and you know, sometimes when there's Pendulum monsters in your graveyard, you can use him to recycle those as well. Castel, because he's Castel. 1 King of the Feral Imps. His only purpose, again, is to search out LIzardraw. I might cut him though, depending on how it goes. 1 Abyss Dweller, because there's too many graveyard effects nowadays. We run the 39 and S39 Lightning. You know, 5,000 attacks, nothing to joke about. Also, you know, the Armadia effect is the primary use. You know, if you attack over Dark Destroy, it wouldn't float. Now for our high level plays, we run 1 Titanic Galaxy. This card is a really good addition from Premium Gold 3. He negates pretty much any spell cards and their effects, and attaches to himself as material. His other effects of boosting Xyz monster attacks is not seen too often, because we pretty much use all of our resources to make him. Not a lot of times will we have other Xyz monsters on the field. We play 1 number 15 Giant Grinder. His effect lets you detach 1 to target a special summon monster your opponent controls, destroy it. You can use this effect twice, and if the monster you control is an Xyz monster, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to the original attack of that monster. So the reason why I play this is because he's a dark, and it lets me summon number 84 Pain Gainer. Number 84 Pain Gainer has 0 attack, 0 defense, but it gains defense equal to the number of ranks I control. So usually I either have him out on the field or maybe another rank 4, and together there would be 15 ranks, giving Pain Gainer up to 3,000 attack. His detach ability lets you destroy all monster or all face-up monster your opponent controls whose defense is less than the defense of this card. So not often do you see a monster with higher than 2200 defense, so this card pretty much acts like a Raigeki. And our final extra deck monster is number 77, the Seven Sins. So we make him by overlaying on top of Pain Gainer. So usually the combo goes, we use Pain Gainer to wipe the field, overlay on top of number 77, and attack for 4000. When 77 is summoned this way, you cannot use his effect right away. But that doesn't really matter because all we're aiming for is to do massive damage. His detach effect, however, is to detach one to, I think, banish all cards your opponent controls. And you could target one of those Xyz monsters or one of those monsters you banish and attach it to this card as Xyz material. So that is my Performapal deck profile. If you guys enjoyed it, please like and subscribe, and we'll have more deck profiles for you in the future.